Well, I've realized that before I put this all back together, I'm gonna have to address this seal where I only have one. I can't put the whole bike back together without having this other seal. I'll just have to tear it all back apart to put one in. So I'm gonna figure that out right now. And I have this, which is basically it's just door trimmed, you know, to go on the edge of your car door to stop it from dinging other cars. And I thought that it was stiff, but it's not. It's pretty, you know, pliable. So I could try that, you know, just run it around like that. But as I was texting Gary to see if he had the other one of these somewhere, he says he didn't. But he suggested that I use some hose, which is just a much better idea, right? You know, take it and cut it off to length and then just split it right down the middle and pop it in there. It should work. I'm liking his idea better than mine. So the only thing I might have an issue with is if the thickness is the same, and it looks like it's not much different, so it should be fine. And it's, you know, it's rubber, it's pliable, it'll seal up well. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I just haven't figured out which one of these two I'm going to use yet. The wall is thinner on this one, but it's bulkier, which we don't care about bulk. We just care about the wall size, and it looks like it matches up better than the small one. The small one looks like the wall size is a little thicker. Well, no, it's about the same, isn't it? Yeah, they're both about the same. So maybe I'll just use the smaller one then. That way it doesn't take up as much space. But yeah, I just wanted you to see that's the next thing I'm working on right now. Like right this very second, that's what I'm about to start doing. Is I'm going to cut off a piece of this hose, not the other one. I'm going to cut off a piece of this hose to match this length. And then I'm going to split it and then slide it in there. And if it looks well and it works well, I may do both of them and just get rid of this. That way they match, at least, you know. And then just keep this, you know, throw it back in the parts box that I've got over there. And yeah, I just wanted you to see that because I can't go any further until I do that. But I think it'll definitely work. It looks, if you put them right next to each other, you can kind of see they're almost exactly the same depth. So I don't know if you can see that on there, but yeah, they're almost exactly the same depth. So it should work perfectly. And again, I want to thank Gary for that idea. I was going to use this little door trim here, which would not have done what I needed it to do. So man, I'm glad I texted him. He gave me a great idea. So there we go. That's my next step. I'm going to cut this, put it on, and then start putting everything back onto the bike. So until next time. Alright, there we go. I've got the hose cut, and it looks like it'll work well. It's pliable, about the same thickness as the original. I think right now I'm just going to leave the original in just because it's already there. I don't see any reason to cut another hose just to replace something that's already there, and there's nothing wrong with this one, so I'm just going to leave it. But yeah, there it is. Thank you again, Gary. Alright, now I get to put it all back together. Okay, so in the process of getting ready to put all this back together, this tray here, this bolt goes through this hole and goes down into the fender. And between this tray and the fender was this rubber seal, which, as you can tell, looks pretty bad and is pretty much gone. I mean, it's still pliable, but it's, you know, could use a new one. So I don't have anything that big, but what I do have are these rubber O-ring washers that I'm going to try to make fit. I might have to drill them out just a hair to, you know, get the bolt down in there. But that's what I'm going to do, and they go down into this little hole in the fender here, right there. So they're big enough to span it, and these are real hard rubber, so they should seal in there well and close that up, but the problem is it's not going to cover the whole thing. So eventually I'm going to have to get better ones, but for now that's just what I'm dealing with. I'm going to, just to get that going, And I'll see if I can't find some bigger ones, wider ones that'll cover the entire hole there. That way no water's coming up from the tire. But for right now, it's just to get it going. That's what I'm doing. So now I'm gonna go ahead and put this back on this tray now that it's all painted back up and ready to go. And again, this is where the coils sit and the wires come up for the battery and the coils. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put everything back together in reverse order, which means I took this off last, so I'm going to put it back on first. Then I took the air box out before that, so it's going to go back on first. And then I took the carbs off first, so the carbs will be the last thing that get installed, and that all makes sense. So basically, I'm just reversing the order that I took everything off in, so that I know everything should go back in together easily, and hopefully not have any issues. And that's where it's at. I'm gonna get rid of the rust in that, because those attach to the side of the air box here. They sit right down in here like this. But that's easy enough. Right now it's just getting all this stuff put back together, and yep, that's what I'm working on now. So I will show you the finished product when it's done. Wanted to show you this real quick. These are the grommets that the coils sit down in, and as you can see, there's a rust down in there from the metal that it used to butt up against being all rusty, and I don't want to put those back on like that. They're still good, they're still pliable, no problems with them. I see a little bit of cracking, but they're fine. I'm not even worried about them. But what I want to do is get that rust out of there. So I'm going to take them into the kitchen and take a scrub brush to them, basically, with dish soap, and just clean them all up. But I just thought that was interesting. You might want to, it's stuff like this that you need to look for. Check for that rust. You don't want that rust to start, rusting some other part that you just fixed. So clean it up, make sure everything's perfect. Yeah, so that's where I'm at now. Here's the next update. We've got the tray in now, and we've got the grommets in for the wires. We've got the wires up where they need to be. Everything's good. Still got to fix that one, of course, tonight. Bolts are in, grommets are in, rear brake reservoirs installed. So we're all good up here. It's ready to put a battery in it, which I should get tonight. Battery and inline fuse, which the inline fuse I got, it's not going to be one of those straight in lines. I'm going to have to mount it somewhere, probably here somewhere. I haven't figured it out yet, but I'll probably share the mount with this relay, and it's one of the newer type fuses instead of the old glass tubes. So a little easier to find, and just make it easier on life in the future. So yeah, there's that. We got the batteries all good, cables are all good. On this side, this is all going to that ignition accelerator, which is fine. They all look good, everything looks good. We've got the primary part of the air box back on, and next are to put these two side pieces on, and then the carbs. So that's where I'm at. Well, we got the side covers all sanded down. Got rid of all the rust. You can see there's still a tiny bit, but yeah, there's still a tiny bit that I'll hit one more time, but for the most part they're done. Then I'm going to primer these and then paint them black with that same engine coating. And on this one you can see that's where I did the JB weld, which seems to be holding pretty well. Yeah, there's still some rust down there that I need to get out, but I'll get that. Just wanted to give you a quick update. This is what I'm working on right now, is getting these all sanded down, and the paint I'm putting on it right now is not going to be the final paint. It's just to stop any future rust, and that way it's at least painted black. It's primered, it's painted black, and it's something I can worry about later to actually strip it down again. We'll actually use paint stripper and all that good stuff and get a whole thing down to bare metal and you know, fix it, make it look really good. But right now I'm just trying to get it to basically back to basic black and not rust any more than it already is. That's what I'm doing with the paint on everything right now. Everything that I'm painting right now is just temporary, basically. Could be permanent if you wanted it to be, but it's not going to look nice. So I'm just going to, you know, do it now. That way it stops rusting everything. And everything so far to this point is hidden, so it really doesn't matter. The only real paint on the motorcycle are the side covers in the tank. And I'm not sure if I'm going to repaint those yet or not. I might leave them original, even though they look kind of beat up. The paint on the gas tank is faded. It looks like almost a dark green. It's supposed to be black. If you look at the underside of the tank, you can see the nice glossy black. But right now the gas tank looks like a smoky dark green. Now that may come out with some good compound and polish. I'm not sure. I'll give it a try, but that's long down the road. As far as paint goes, this is all temporary. I'm just going to get these two painted up, get them put back on the bike, and the next step after this is to install this the ignition amplifier. It goes into these two holes, but obviously on the back here. It goes like that back here, and that goes on the right side of the bike. So I'll get that put on and get it all connected back together. Get this side put on. There's no components with it. It's just a cover for the air cleaner, and that's where I'm at. Just wanted you to see that. All right, off to paint. All right, top of the carbs put back together. Carb needles good to go. Same on the other side. Put back together, ready to go. And now we're ready to install the carbs themselves. So I'm putting the carbs back on the bike now, and as I was putting these on, the, you know, the carb sits back here, and then this goes to the engine, or vice versa. It doesn't matter. It's the same on both sides. I wanted to show you an important step to watch for. If you look on the inside, there's a ring in there that seats down onto the carburetor or onto the engine intake manifolds. So that ring is where your clamp needs to be, right? So you want the clamp as close to the edge as possible this way. You don't want it in the middle, you don't want it over here, you want it all the way up against that ledge. That way you're sealing up this and you're sealing up behind it. You know, it makes things seal much better, and you'll you know, not have to deal with issues in the future. So just something quick I wanted to show you. That's it. There we go. Carbs are back on. Everything seems to fit back on really well. We're gonna now put on these two side plates, the one that goes here and the one that goes over here. But remember, this one is the one that has the ignition amplifier that bolts into it. And right now they're outside getting painted. So let's go out there and look at that. Yeah, see, there's going to be a while, but they're being painted right now. Still haven't even flipped them over and painted the other sides. They're ready now, I just haven't done it yet. So paint those, wait for them to dry, and then those are the next thing I'll be, well, yeah, that's the next thing that has to go on, because other than that, that's it. So